Yeah. He's a huge IPA. I think it tastes like dish soap sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not a fan myself. I like beer a lot.
But just not.
Just not IPAs.
Yeah. I like one now. He's.
You guys have something you can drink together.
We're starting.
He likes it because I don't drink his beers.
Right.
He's like, you can have. I have my drawer.
We
All right.
discovered we went to Ireland with the Guinness. It's different.
Oh, really?
And we're live.
Oh, and we're live. We can keep talking.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Facebook. We're live, but he'll kick us off for the podcast when he's ready. So, is it stronger?
It's fresher.
Oh,
So
well, that makes sense.
it's kind of like creamy and less bubbly. It's like just creamy, good.
Like thick.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
like a latte almost.
Oh, wow. But still same alcohol content, or? I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I've noticed that about soda overseas too, like Coke.
Hey.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Great.
You're-
Episode 10. That's
Episode 10, I know.
a round number.
Exactly. And Manley's lying already. You're not doing great. You're doing great now, right? It's been a stressful day a little
It's
bit.
been a stressful day, so I really appreciate this.
Well, we're glad to be able to de-stress you with water and putting you on live Facebook.
Thank
So you got it. Anytime.
Exactly. We've got Unknown Brewing here, and I think a little Sycamore as well. And
Yeah.
Paige, this just looks scary.
This is sparkling rosé from the new what's it called? Whole Foods on Waverly, which is local. That's the only the way I can localize this sparkling rosé because it's from out of state.
That's as Charlotte as you get. But no, hey, we're super excited to have you guys on. Last time we saw you, I'm pretty sure it was a dance floor with Cam Newton.
That's
It was at
fun.
Cam's Gala, and you guys were getting down.
It was fun.
Yes.
Well, you know, that's how we started dating. We romanced each other through dancing.
Did you really?
Yep.
Wow, we're gonna get right
Let's
into
get
the
right
origin
into
story.
it.
I love
Let's get right into it. That we typically do start with the origin story, so let's get right to it.
Yeah, well, let's go back a little bit,
Okay.
shall we? Jennifer and I have known each other since college, but we were not romantically involved in college. In fact, Jennifer, one semester, dated my roommate in college.
No way.
Way.
We're still friends. We're still
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. And they had broken up long before we got reintroduced, but we had a class together in college, right?
We sure did.
And
Sounds really familiar, but
Yeah,
go
this
on.
is like
Does
a
it?
very similar story. Yeah.
interesting.
Wow.
So I never dated Jake's roommate.
Oh,
Sorry.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. Oh dang.
Wait a second, wait a
Well, I am
second.
his roommate, so I guess that works.
On the next episode of Date Night.
so years later, we were both living in D.C. and got reintroduced by a mutual friend of ours, and started having lunches together and playing tennis. But I would say nothing that was really romantic or fun until we had a date. It was snowing in D.C., which is fairly unusual even for D.C.
Yeah.
And we went out cross-country skiing.
We did a lot of athletic things.
Yeah.
Both.
And
Really fun.
then came back and went to a wild party where they were playing all Gypsy King. Started to click for the two of us.
I
Wouldn't you say?
mean,
We both love Latin music. It's
Yeah.
great.
and a man who can dance and is willing to, right? Where you like, oh, this guy can not only cross country ski, I kind of like how he turns me around the dance floor.
Oh yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun.
I love looking over you
that.
and you're like, mhm.
Yeah,
That's right. That's exactly how I remember.
that's right, exactly. Yeah.
So tell, for people who aren't familiar with your backstory too, you both were Moorhead scholars at Carolina, right? That's how you originally knew each other, at least just as people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I would say that's right.
Okay.
And I was from Atlanta and had come up to Chapel Hill, and Jennifer was from right here in Charlotte.
Charlotte.
That's right. What high school?
East Mac.
East Mac.
East Mac.
Eagles.
Ran against East Mac in the state championships.
All
in
right.
Track and field. And
Guessing.
got a good look at the back of their jerseys.
Where were you?
I grew up in Pinehurst, so I went to Pinecrest High School. So the mean streets of the village of Pinehurst, that's my childhood.
Jacob.
Oh,
I said
Jason! So your co-worker is Jason Harper.
I call
and
him
everyone tells me I look like
Jason
Jason
3 times a
Sudeikis.
day, and I call him Jason
Yeah,
at least twice a day.
It's great. So, but that's not my roommate.
It's a hard
So, wow.
name.
So I learned in the last 5 seconds that my name's Jason. You're dating my roommate. Perfect. Got it.
He does get confused with Jason Sudeikis a lot too. I don't remember what I was going to say now.
Yeah. So no. So
Pinehurst.
Yeah, pirates.
Piner. So in college, you said you like to do, or you said you like to do athletic things together afterwards. But in college, what was that friendship like? I mean, obviously you dated a roommate, or
We weren't really that close. I mean,
we were in the same circles. We kind of ran the same circles, and actually, I did a lot of dancing at your fraternity house.
That's true.
so much dancing.
Wow, so much
Yeah.
dancing.
So wait, so what does that? What does that mean? Did you have a bunch of parties at your house?
No, I mean, well, actually, yes, we did have a lot of
She
parties.
was just the lone girl
I was gonna
dancing.
say,
No.
it is
Jennifer, girl,
two.
she sure does love to
It
dance.
is 2:30 in the afternoon. Why is she dancing in our foyer?
Yeah. To get into is very much an athletic person, and I think that really is why she's so good on the dance floor. She's really
I don't get worn out.
Yeah, right?
Go forever.
Good stamina.
That's right.
Volleyball, right?
That's it. Yeah.
All 4 years?
4 years of volleyball at Carolina. Love it. Yeah.
Now, you too?
No, well, I was an athlete in high school. I was
Okay.
not an athlete in college, but I'm a musician, so I kind of come at it from the music side.
Now, is that what Sam, who in your office, who I was coordinating this through, said you had a rehearsal 1 week that was that? I was
I'm
wondering
sure it
what
was
kind of
a music
rehearsal.
rehearsal. Yeah, so
What do you do? Yeah.
well, I
He
sing
sings
in
with the
I sing with the symphony.
Cool.
I sing with some other choirs, and I play keyboards with different bands, including on Sunday morning I play African American gospel with a church here in town.
That's not what I would have guessed.
Right, exactly.
Would not have been my first guess.
Let's just keep unpacking this. All right. So you play gospel, right?
Yep, and they sort of let me do whatever I want during the preludes. So I'll play, classic rock,
Beatles.
jazz, blues,
Uh-huh.
whatever I'm in the mood
So make sure
for.
people are paying attention. You're like, oh, right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go off script here.
Right.
Right.
So no one notices.
And so dancing kind of goes naturally with that because I just love the music. I love the rhythm.
Yeah.
But what I remember about Manley and Chapel Hill was his helping found the Cliffhangers. which was-
You were
No.
a founding member of the Clefs?
I was.
Yeah.
Get out.
Wow.
So they'd have this coffee house at their fraternity house, which is Kai Sai. And,
You're dancing.
And all
Yeah,
right,
always,
yes,
always.
absolutely.
Hello.
But he's at the piano playing and singing with different quartets and groups and then doing the a cappella thing. And yeah, I'm there dancing. And he was just amazing musician and, creative and got this group together. Now, Cliffhangers are amazing. I mean, they come to Charlotte.
Oh,
my
they
gosh.
are
Yeah.
huge.
They played
Yeah.
my one of my best friend's weddings.
Really?
Yeah,
they,
and how
they
it comes
showed
to
up
like
at the
a-
dance when the place just melted down. Like it was as if Justin Timberlake showed up. It was
Oh, they're the
unbelievable.
best. Well, this for anyone listening who's not familiar with the Cliffhangers, they are an a cappella group in Carolina that is awesome, and I feel like people like with Pitch Perfect and right, like people
Yeah.
finally kind of know what all of that stuff is, and have
Glee.
kind of
Right.
caught Glee exactly
Right.
the show, yeah. And you founded the Clefs. That's so cool.
Yeah, I was one of there was one guy named Barry Saunders who really came up with the idea, but he talked to me and Tom Terrell. Better
Okay.
now than we were then.
I was gonna say, at that time, was it the three of you?
No. We had a group of about, by the time I was a
Okay.
senior, it was about 12.
Okay.
12 to 16. But we did travel. We did a concert trip to New Orleans and sang a lot of concerts. We started having concerts in Memorial Hall at Chapel Hill.
Oh yeah.
And we'd gotten to the point where, people really wanted to come out. We had big crowds.
Yeah.
And now, of course, it's just exploded. I mean, they're professionals virtually.
So he was kind of a big man on campus,
Mhm.
when I was in college.
Right.
And he was 2 years older, so, I kind of admired him from afar.
Mm-hmm. As many ladies do with the Cliffhangers. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah.
Did you know what you had right out of the gate? Because I feel like the Cliffhangers now, like, oh come on, like we're like the MVPs, we're the all stars on campus. Did you know? You're like, I think we're onto something.
No idea. We had no idea that this
We
was
just
going.
like to sing. Chicks like this. Wow.
That's right, exactly. We had no idea it was going to last. And in fact, there were a couple of years, about 2 years after I graduated, where the group almost disbanded. And then it came back to life, thank goodness. And of course, it's gone on to way beyond. Anoop Desai was in that group.
Oh yeah.
And he was on American Idol.
American Idol, right?
Yeah, and so we had no idea that it would become something like that.
I'm shifting out of frame. This was like right in Manley's face mask,
That's
right?
okay, but you need to
It
come
was
into
more
frame.
to
Yeah,
say, well,
you'd
there we
think
go.
that someone that did this for a living would understand.
Well,
how-
I'm used to other people fidgeting
Oh, wow.
the cameras for me.
Literally the most big league kid you've
Jason.
ever said.
I know.
Where's my director? Can someone? Where's my fan? Can someone please bring me my
You need to move a
M&Ms?
little to your left.
Up with this. So piano, acapella, dancing, volleyball.
Yep.
So
Two churns.
yeah, I mean, Renaissance man and woman of Carolina. I mean, when you look back at your time there, and obviously I know you go back and visit and things like that. Do you remember your time at Carolina fondly? And when you do go back, what kinds of things do you do? Is it athletic events or other things?
Well, that was one of the great things about being a varsity athlete is we got like really good seats to all the basketball games.
Right.
Worthy.
Also that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And,
That's cool timing.
It was very cool.
That's very fun.
Of course, it's before the Dean Dome. You know.
Oh, right, you were still in
We
Carmichael.
were still in Carmichael.
Oh, yeah, so you had good seats and close up. That means,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And the volleyball team would play right before or after the basketball team.
I was going to say, weren't you playing there too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd
Okay.
come off the court, they'd come on the court, and we'd say hello.
Do you keep in touch at all? Are you still, like, if you went, did you know him then, Jordan?
Well,
I mean, or
seen Michael Jordan a couple times. In fact, I think we're going to be together. The Hornets have been donating paint striping and
I saw that.
Hornets logos and stuff to various basketball courts around the city.
Uh-huh.
And they had a recent one over at Ladder Park in Delaware.
Right, looks amazing.
And so we met there, and you know he was great, and everybody's always excited to see Michael Jordan, of course.
Right.
And we're going to be doing another one pretty soon. I can't remember where this next one is, but the Hornets have been very generous.
Valentine? Are you guys going to come down to Valentine?
I don't think so.
Come on.
We need a lot of stuff at Valentine.
Yeah.
Everything's really run
We need
down,
another
old
Target.
construction. So
And, you know,
this,
we ran into James Worthy at the DNC.
That's
Are you
true.
with me? Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's got a foundation, and
He
was,
really stays in touch with Gastonia. Like he has all
Right.
these causes he supports.
Is that where he's from originally? I
Yeah,
didn't realize
yeah, he's
that.
right down the road.
Is that right?
wow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
So we remembered the woman he was dating who he broke up with. That's because
Bringing up great
I
memories.
was
Like,
like,
oh,
I know.
what?
Cut to James Worthy, like,
Whatever happened to...
Whatever happened to so-and-so, yeah. But she lived on my floor. I was an RA in Ehringhaus.
Oh, yeah.
Athletes
E-house, of course. That's where my dad
yeah.
lived.
you
Yeah,
can't
with
you
a-
can't just call it the dorm, the two of you. So Paige played softball at
Yes.
Carolina.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
all
Only my
right.
freshman year.
She
Only my
was-
freshman year.
So on the training table, did you use the training table?
No, we didn't have that. We also didn't have tickets to stuff. The way that we got into games is because athletes would take the tickets at the football games and things, and the basketball. There was like an athlete's entrance, and you always knew like, oh, it's lacrosse night or it's softball night. So you would find what door your friend would be at, and they'd let you in that way. But it wasn't official tickets that we got. We would just sneak in because
Sneak in,
yeah.
okay.
So, what position did you play?
Well, I played bench, but
No.
theoretically, at first base,
You must have been really good to be on that team.
I was amazing.
Fast.
Manly, yeah, I'm glad that you.
Manley, you're really good at this. You're really good at the question asking. She never talks about this. Every time I bring up something, she's like, no, stop.
Well,
You just
because
said you're really good at softball.
I didn't. I was
know.
joking. I was being
That's going to be the
sarcastic.
intro. I'm going
Oh,
to make that the
stop.
intro.
First base is
I
a
was
hard
being
position.
sarcastic.
You're
That's
really
hard.
good.
You gotta have a good
Which is
arm,
probably why I
good
never
catch.
got put in.
Now, do you
It's
still
super important.
Do you still play on a team here in Charlotte?
No, it's funny that you guys.
Oh,
So
please tell me what you do.
every
Please tell me what you do
every
in the
place.
outfield.
So every place we ever go,
Kickball.
someone finds out. Kickball. I'm in kickball play.
It's fun.
Any place that you work, people have a slow pitch softball team, right? Like as a fun social thing. If they find out you played softball to any level, especially if you're a girl, they're like,
You got a ringer.
you got a ringer. I'm like, okay, it's a different, like fast pitch is a different sport from slow pitch softball, different distances, different
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And you guys, I don't know what happened to me. I swear, by freshman year, Coach Papa, she's still there. Shout out, Coach Papa, love you. However, Coach Papa tried to change the way I threw. She said I threw kind of sidearm, so she like coached me through this different way of throwing. And I'm not kidding you. Ever since then, I have like a mental block of throwing overhand in softball.
Wow. Watch out for the bus. Coach Papa is currently recruiting athletes on the road.
Listen, Coach Papa, I was done with softball anyway. This was my own mental block. And I used to pitch like when I was younger, I can only now throw a softball underhand windmill.
Will you guys please look at me? We're going to have a...
So I would play
She'll
outfield.
play outfield, and she will
Throws it underhand.
skip, and then goes... It's like in Sandlot when the kid finally like hands it to the pitcher. He runs all the way and hands it to the pitcher. Paige windmills it from center field into the cutoff man. And
But
you
like,
see somebody
I'll
say,
give you
Wow,
out. I'll give you
it's
out.
fast though, right? It's really fast.
I'm like, I'll strike you out. I did the first pitch at a Knights game, a couple of months ago, and I was like, I said, I'm gonna bring a softball. I'm gonna throw it underhand. They were like, I guess I did the catcher. Do you want me to throw it to you beforehand so you see? Like, it's kind of weird. And he's like, I think I'll be okay. I'm like, I get it. You're a professional baseball player, but it comes from like a weird, And I threw it. He was like, whoa. He goes, that kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, I told you.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that was fun. You threw out the first pitch along with the teacher that does all the handshakes, right?
Yeah,
The local teacher.
I
that
can't
does
think
all
of his
the
name
fist
right now. I'm
pound,
blanking out
and
his
he went
name.
viral. He had a video where all students would come in and he had a special handshake for all of them.
right.
Do you remember? Yeah, I can't think of his
Yes.
name right now off the top of my head.
All right, so timeline here. So then you go to DC. You have this amazing
Separately.
Separately.
DC, right?
But
Yeah,
then
that
there's
was many years later.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd lived other parts of our life in the meantime.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so did you travel mainly in North Carolina, or were you moving around?
Well, I went to Connecticut
Okay.
and taught school for 2 years.
Oh.
Coached volleyball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
how about
cool.
that?
Yeah, and then didn't you do some international work? You went to the Dominican, did I read?
I
The
did.
state part?
That was after he and I started dating.
Oh, okay.
So we had to date between countries,
Whoa.
Wow.
which was interesting before the internet. So we had really, really expensive phone bills.
Yeah. Did you write letters?
You have a collect call from Jennifer.
I know. Never coming back.
We wrote letters, and we also remember we did the tapes.
Yeah, we do dictaphone tapes.
Dictaphone
tapes.
Send it.
Cool.
It was great.
Do you still have all that stuff?
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere
Probably the
else.
Please tell me
Yeah.
there's video of you guys taping yourself, like redoing it, deleting it. Like, okay, now I need to sound like I love him more. Okay, that's so funny.
Well,
What
then
a cool
you
thing to have.
and you got your friends to do songs.
Yeah, Robert was
Yeah.
in town one time, and we did a song.
Yeah, you
We
did
did a song on the
Republic or
tape
something.
and sent it down to you.
Would you play it for people down there? They must have thought that was so cool.
Oh yeah, everybody down there knew about my
Yeah.
boyfriend in Washington. Yes.
Sinovio.
Yeah. Well then, so
Very good.
I was in the Peace Corps in Honduras for a couple years.
Me no
Actually,
yo guapo.
You see, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
So I
Okay,
started
right.
dating Paige after Honduras. So you were there 2 years, and I got to hear all these things. And I'm like, I met Paige in New York. I'm seeing this woman in New York. I'm like, I'm having a real hard time picturing a water hydration expert from Honduras in the Peace Corps the last 2 years. Like, who are you? You're like, it was bizarre.
Wow.
But
So you
that's
didn't
a
get
great
a
skill
chance to
for
go
the
and
Peace Corps.
visit.
Well, I learned
Better
that
I
after
didn't
was
see her
amazing.
braids.
Yeah.
There was these crazy braids pictures. I missed the braids
Oh
period.
yeah, sorry. I'll rebraid for you.
Please.
Tips braids.
I'll take that up. Oh, wow.
And Charlotte, shout out
Did
to
Tiffany pay
Tiff.
for that?
Yeah,
Did
no.
Tiff pay for that? All right.
So y'all met in New York.
We did.
I did.
But we were at Carolina at the same time also, didn't really know each other. Similar, we had class together. When we met in New York,
It's spooky.
I know, right?
And she's from DC.
I'm from
Falls
DC.
Church.
Yeah.
All right.
Northern Virginia. So the friend who, well, two friends actually, kind of told us about each other.
Yeah.
And one went out for a drink with him, came back and was like, you have to meet this guy. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I get set up. Went to this alumni event, saw him, we're both.
But listen, sidebar. She says to me, meanwhile, you gotta meet my roommate. She likes to salsa dance. You talk about Latin dancing. I mean, that's why you guys were telling your story. I'm
Are we
like,
the same
what is
level?
going on?
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends?
Parallel
Yeah.
universes.
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway, we started, so that night I kind of recognized him and we started talking. I'm like, this guy is hilarious. Like, who is that? I'm just having a blast with him. And during the conversation, the roommate at the time came up and goes, oh, Paige, you met Jake, the guy from, and you go, oh, Jake, you met, and we both go, wait, you're the one I was supposed to meet, and it was just like, from then
And
on.
then I tried to kiss her, and she said, no way, get away from me. And about a month later, finally. Finally.
Took us, what? Took us, listen, we're all here now, right?
Yeah,
all four
right.
of us made it to
That's
the night.
right.
Exactly, but we literally, I mean, come on, it's a jackpot. I meet Paige, and her roommate was involved. They were all worked in television. So I got to go to all these cool parties. I'm like, how the heck did I look into this? And
Wow.
here we are. Now we
So
got 3
snagged
kids and
guys.
living Valentine.
That's cool.
So we had one of those weird connections, like you're the one supposed to meet and all that.
Yeah.
Because we discovered, we've been dating about 6 weeks, that he grew up in the same area as my cousins in Atlanta.
No way.
And they actually were in the same carpool.
No way.
Yeah, and my mother,
And his
who was their
mother-
friend, kept trying to fix me
Trying to
up
get
with
us to
Jennifer, telling me, you got to take this woman
What?
out. And I'm like, no way, I'm not going out with someone that tall.
Like, you ever seen her spike?
Yeah, because you're 6'1", right?
6'2".
6'2", and
Oh.
you're tall too.
I'm
though.
6'1".
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so you're like,
Yeah, right. But I was wrong.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
And my
That's
mother,
so
of course,
funny.
says I did it all.
So you meet, did you get married in DC?
Yeah,
Did you
walk
get
us
married
through
there?
like the
And
beginning after you guys start dating. Kind of give us the
Start the
what's
Charlotte
going on.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is like forever. So we started dating in DC, and then I left for the Dominican Republic. And
Was that a
gone
conversation? How had that already been planned, or?
Oh
were you
no,
guys-
it was perfect for him because it was like totally, no ties, no responsibility or obligation. It's like, oh, okay, she's going off,
Yeah, let me add a little to that.
Please, that's yeah.
So I'd just been in a long-standing, really intense relationship
Mm-hmm.
that did not end well. And so it was kind of nice to have a little breathing space.
Yeah.
And to go.
Every 6 weeks.
Yeah, every 6 weeks in
Well,
paradise.
yeah, oh, God, right?
Sure. Yeah, but also Jennifer was so easy to be with, and it was just like, this feels good.
So you kind of were able to kind of ease into the relationship
Yeah.
that way because it was long distance at first. Yeah. Okay. You were there for how long then?
20 months.
20 months, and then you're back. And when you came back, were you guys like, okay, when I come back, are we doing this?
Well, that's the reason I took my second tour in Washington, because usually a foreign service officer will have 2 tours overseas. And I
Okay.
thought, well, this is getting kind of serious. Maybe I should come back to DC and see if this is going to last. And I was there for about 6 months, and we were, everything lasted. We were still cool. Was really feeling great. And then he started looking for a job in another city because he was working in finance and corporate work, and in DC it's mostly government related.
Right.
Still law though, or
So,
Law.
Still
Yeah,
law.
yeah.
Still law. So, where do you look for finance? You look for San Francisco, New York, and Charlotte. Oh, how about
Oh,
that?
hi.
And so I'm like, Charlotte, I grew up there. Let's think about that. Because Charlotte was a lot smaller
right,
when I grew up, and, just a few years ago.
right.
But
Sure, that's true.
just a few years ago, it was a lot smaller and very southern, and we took a weekend, didn't tell my parents, and just kind of came down as adults. Because when you're a kid, you see different things in the
Totally.
city. You don't have wheels. You don't see a lot of stuff.
Totally.
And so we came down as adults, and there was a jazz club, there was ultimate frisbee, there were a lot of sports, and a lot of things for young people to do. I thought, wow, this city is kind of got
And
cool.
the two of you literally did all of it. Basically, here's your backstory. You played frisbee, you did jazz, you did
Went dancing.
No, you never stopped dancing. We saw you 2 months ago. You have not stopped dancing. All right.
That's
So
right.
you liked it?
Parents found out that we were, they were just kind of ecstatic because they hadn't seen me in years. Because I lived. And then I did 2 years in Toronto, Canada,
Oh wow.
and then a year in Italy. All that in graduate school, and then back in DC. So they hadn't seen me around Charlotte for a long time.
Yeah.
So they were very excited.
Oh, I bet. Doesn't as parents now don't you totally get that? I mean, your kids are in Georgia and California, right? Or does it
Yeah.
not rip your heart out because I know you're happy for them and you get to see them, but that's
We understand it, but
Right.
we're excited for them. It's
Right.
where they want to be. It's where they're really fulfilling their lives. And so, will they ever move back to North Carolina? Hard to say.
yeah.
We'd love it if they did, but they've got their own lives.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Yeah.
So the funniest thing is, he decided to take the job. We're like, okay, yes, we can live in Charlotte. It's a great place. It's
Right.
awesome. It's growing. And he proposes to me, and then the next day goes on vacation in Greece
By
by
yourself?
himself.
Again,
No.
to be
What?
to
There's
be
gotta be more
fair,
context
to be
now.
fair,
It was a
We
jazz
knew-
concert. He's touring.
Yeah.
He had to go.
no, we knew we
I'm
knew.
doing all the wedding prep by myself.
So I
How long were
proposed
you in Greece?
just 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh.
No big deal. Like a month and a half. It was fine.
Yeah, so I proposed to her on the night that I quit my job, my old job.
Okay, in DC.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Jennifer knew I was going to Greece, and I had asked her if she could go to Greece, but she couldn't because of her job.
Okay. That's fair. That's a little different. That's
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's not a good
Still,
story.
Invited at
Yeah.
least, but
It went anyway.
All right, but I will tell you a funny footnote. So I was in this one hotel, a little hotel on the coast somewhere, and the owner of the hotel sees me in the morning and just looks at me really sadly and goes, "You spend too much time on the telephone." And I said, "Well, you need to understand. I just got engaged, and my wife and I are planning the wedding on the when I talk on the phone." And he goes, "Oh, congratulations!" And he breaks out the he does.
Who's up? Here
We're
comes
sitting,
the
out,
news up.
we're sitting out on the beach listening to albums and drinking.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Well,
you love
you're listening to that
She's
like,
she's not here, but
glad you made friends with the head of the hotel.
So that's right. So I'm calling like 6 different hotels to
Right.
find any kind of place for a reception, you know, a rehearsal dinner, and like everything's booked, and so and he's like having this great time, and I'm having to make all these decisions, and Chapel Hill.
Oh, cool.
fun.
To answer your question, that was where our memory's
Yeah.
great. Of course,
Yeah.
we loved it. We got married in Chapel of the Cross.
Right
The
there.
Episcopal
right
Church,
there.
right there.
That pretty stone one?
The stone one.
Yeah.
Right by the Royal
Yes.
Plantation.
I know exactly. I lived across the street from that for years.
Yeah, and this is sort of interesting. The person, I remember I said a person introduced us
Yeah.
in D.C. Well, it was because we both had started going to the same Episcopal church in Old Town, Alexandria, and she was the assistant rector there, and the rector we knew at Carolina. He was a good friend of mine at Carolina, which is why I went there. And he wanted me to go out with his assistant rector. His name was Mariah. We did go out some, but there was no magic. But she met Jennifer, called me up and said, "You need to take this woman to lunch." And so I did. And of course, Jeffrey, my friend, and Mariah came down and did our wedding. at Chapel
Oh,
of the
how
Cross.
cool. Oh, that's neat. By the way, also, how many people in your life have to tell you to take her out before you just take them up?
Yeah,
I know.
so many layers.
Mother,
so many
best
layers of
friend.
this. Yeah.
At least the second one I acted on really quick.
There you go. I'm like, okay, I can deal
Well,
with 6'2". I can deal with 6'2". We'll try. That was the thing.
Is so fun. All right, so you start your life in Charlotte, and
Yeah.
Charlotte was not the Charlotte it is today.
Yeah.
But very different from the Charlotte she knew growing up.
Yeah.
Also.
Oh, okay.
Continuing to
Oh,
grow and be more diverse and more, you know, more things to do and more people coming from other parts of the country and the world. Very, very diverse
Yeah.
compared to what I grew up with. But when we moved here, the Performing Arts Center was just opening.
Oh,
The
cool.
Blumenthal Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
And you got involved in the symphony chorus like right away.
Yep.
And that was one of the big attractions. A great
Right.
symphony. Of course, North Carolina Dance Theater, which is now Charlotte Ballet,
Mhm.
really well known. So the cultural life and the jazz clubs and those kind of
Yeah.
things.
We came here in '92. I did. You arrived in
93.
'93.
Mm-hmm.
And the Panthers arrived somewhere in there.
95, I think, right?
Yeah,
Is
a
that
couple
right?
years later.
97,
Yeah,
95?
a couple years later.
Yeah. So when you got here, you've been practicing law
Yeah.
throughout, correct?
Yes, right.
Will you walk us through a little bit in terms of what you were doing and how then you transitioned into politics, where kids came into the mix, all of that? What year did you get married?
How much time?
93.
I know, right? I know.
We're good.
You can skip
We're good.
around, but I mean,
It's actually
yeah.
a 4-hour podcast.
Oh, good.
Well, I'm always curious to see how I had a boss tell me one time, and this always comes up on the podcast. But my boss, my first real boss out of school, who Jake knows really well too, because we were always all in her office. We started dating while I was working for her, and I remember she said to us one time, "It is never a convenient time to get married, and it is never a convenient time to have a kid." And we just always remember that because we were at that point where we were debating, like, should we get married? Well, we're moving, but we're also this and that. And then when you start thinking about kids, well, I've got this going on, you've got this. And she said, just know, when in your life will you ever go, you know what, I have 10 months to just get pregnant and have it, or plan a whatever.
Right.
So it's always interesting to hear how other couples kind of came to those decisions or dealt with those, whatever, like surprises.
I love Olivia.
I love Olivia.
Yes,
I know. It is great advice because you kind of go, "Oh, good call. That's true. It's never going to
Yeah,
be."
but then also weaving that into, like Paige just said, when you decided, you know what, I want to start a political career. What did
I'm
that
sure there's
look
never
like?
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the kids and the political career are connected.
Okay.
So we had children, 3 years after we got married. And I first started out in banking
Mm-hmm.
because everybody in Charlotte has to be a banker at some point.
Right.
or
Sure,
another,
yes.
And my training was in international relations and economics and politics. So that translated well to international corporate banking because you're doing country risk, you're looking at international products. You have to understand how European companies and British companies work and the interplay between the parent company. And so it was perfect. And the subject I taught was math, so I'm good at math.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to have children, and I switched from banking because I was traveling. I was in the sales. I was traveling all down the East Coast.
Were you at the same bank?
No, I'm in a
It was a law firm.
You're a law firm at the
Yeah.
time. I'm sorry.
Although I do a lot of work for that bank.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I decided that traveling with an infant was just not really a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked for a job that would be in Charlotte. So that's when I moved from the private sector to the nonprofit sector and headed up the Charlotte World Affairs Council.
Oh.
Okay.
And did that for 5 years with a little one, and then we had our second. And I realized that when you're running a nonprofit and you've got to do everything like, pay the rent and fix the computers and they break because you only have 3 people in your nonprofit.
Right. A little
It's
different.
like a small business,
Right.
it's like, really hard. So I left that and started teaching at the university part-time. So I was just teaching in the mornings.
At UNC Charlotte?
At UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
Same type classes, the international relations.
Exactly.
Okay.
International politics,
Okay.
globalization, international economics.
terrorism.
And, yep.
Oh, wow.
Really light topics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, seriously.
Be really
Really wish I would have taken that.
yeah, they're really interesting. So, our daughter started public school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the room parent because I had time in the afternoon. So what I
God
saw,
bless you.
God bless, yeah.
holy cow!
I love a room parent.
What I saw was the lack of resources in the public schools.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the teachers and the administrators and the principal, and it was great school. Smith Academy is the language immersion school. It's now Waddell. Fabulous teachers, very committed, but just under resourced. So I was doing stuff that an assistant teacher would do
Mhm.
if they had money to pay one. Right. The librarian was full-time volunteer parent for the library.
Wow.
So I'm looking around thinking, why are we not valuing public education in this city? And I listened to what the county commissioners were saying, because the county supplies about a third of the school's budget, and then the state supplies the other 2/3. And they were saying, oh, the schools are bloated, there's plenty of money, we need to cut the budget. And I realized that there weren't any moms that were in elected office that had kids in public school. And so this seemed to be a disconnect. And I remember there was an open seat on the county commission, at-large seat, just one. And I remember talking to a bunch of folks at the Democratic Party, who else is going to run? There was no one else willing to run. So I'm like, okay, I'll run. I'll see if I can get elected and be that voice to help support education.
All right, I'm going to call timeout right there. What did that look like at home?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how was that conversation with
Yeah.
you guys? What did you think?
You tell me. I mean,
You knocked out.
no. I feel like I was pretty supportive. I feel like I said, go ahead and do it. I think it's the right
Did it
thing to
surprise
do.
you?
No, it didn't surprise me. Jennifer had always been interested in policy,
Mm-hmm.
although foreign policy, but I thought, this seems like
It's a natural.
Yeah.
It translates. And I think the other thing, because we didn't have any close friends who were in politics, we didn't have anyone in our family, I don't think we really knew what we were getting into.
Right.
That's the other thing. I was pretty ignorant when I said, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cut back to the house 6 months later, you're like,
I
what?
haven't seen you in like a year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And when you first get elected, it was sort of a surprise that I got elected, kind of like, not having worked on a campaign before, not having been in politics or really been that engaged, and always been a voter,
mm-hmm.
but never like actively engaged in campaigns. So we're kind of surprised. And so I felt like that first year I had to go to everything.
Right.
Because I had to learn everything quickly, had to be engaged in the community, and to understand the way the budget works, the way the schools and the city and the county and the state all interacted. I had to, just do everything. And we had this great sitter who could also drive.
Oh, huge.
Oh, and
Okay.
she kind of looks like me. She's thin, tall, Leslie.
Mhm.
And she was a student at UNC Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
And environmental studies and loved animals and like perfect sitter.
Yeah.
And like she
Is
would.
Leslie
she'd
still
be-
available?
Well, she's older now. I don't think she's married.
I don't know. Leslie knew she was living out on Red Layer Farm.
living in Gaston.
Kind of
Leslie,
big-
if you're listening,
Leslie,
I could
Leslie.
use some help. Saturday.
We'll check with her.
Yeah, well, we can
Please
chat.
do.
If Leslie is still driving, if you're
awesome.
okay, got it.
Yeah, no, she's great. She might be open to you.
Hey, now.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the really cool thing is that she's the kind of person that she does waterfowl rescue, and so if she's driving the kids and there's this hurt bird on the side of the street, she stops and fixes it. I mean, how great is that
Teaching
for the
them
kids?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. So cool.
So-
Hit a
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah. Where'd you
She
find
was
her?
great. She was great. I think through, I can't remember.
Me neither.
Oh, you know what? It might have been through a nanny service.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Sorry, that's sidetracked. But
Yeah.
we hear a good nanny and we go, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Always looking for. Okay. So
she basically had, like 3 or 4 nights a week. She would, be with the kids in the afternoon and take them to swim classes and stuff. And of course, they're always the funny. The other thing that was great about her is that she was a young person who had her cell phone like tied to her hand. And in those days, it was really important to be able to get a hold of your sitter really quickly.
Yeah.
And so she was very responsive. But there was one time, our kids had swimming classes in 2 different places, and so there was one time she went to the wrong pool. And they're like, the people at the aquatic center calling and saying, "Where are you? Your kids have been here for the last half hour." And we called Leslie, and she's at the other pool in South Charlotte. So every once in a while, that kind of thing would happen. But she was terrific. And that makes all the difference. Plus, my mother was alive and was also able to sit once in a while and be with the kids. And so
it was
made it work.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. And you want those kind of influences, and it's great to have different adults in your kids' lives.
Agreed.
Right.
They teach different things, and they think about different things. So that helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a lot of the community things, but still have, because I was only teaching part-time, still have time on the weekends, and the county is not quite as intense as being mayor. So I still had a little bit of wiggle room.
But you were elected to that seat?
I was elected
the first
to
time? Okay,
county
got it.
commission at large. So that's like the whole county. That's like Davidson and Matthews and Cornelius.
So this is a real light entree
It's big.
into.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's big territory.
Yeah.
And would you join in for most stuff? How did you guys determine,
Fortunately, Jennifer gave me a lot of freedom to just pick and choose what I wanted to come to, and so I would pick the ones that were interesting to me, or that I felt were important ceremonies, or that kind of thing. But I did not go to everything.
Yeah.
And that's worked out well. I mean, my job takes up a lot of time, and so, but it was a way for us to be together. For example, some of my fondest memories are like walking neighborhoods during campaigns.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
just meeting people.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
neat.
so
Yeah,
promising with me.
one campaign we're out walking and we meet an old woman named Meeks, and we walk in and there are all these pictures of Kennedy Meeks in the house.
It's his
She was the
His
grandmother.
grandmother,
No
that's
way.
awesome.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
right. We've interviewed her a couple times. She's awesome. That's so funny.
She was
yeah.
so great.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And so we read your bio, so we know, but then walk us from there. And I would love to kind of hear your perspective along the way, so county commissioner seat, and then from there, what was the next step?
Oh, and another thing is that I didn't start until my son entered kindergarten. So my son and I
Gotcha.
were both
So
in
yep.
school.
Right.
Which
full
is a
time.
nice time to take a breath, right? Did you guys find that
Yeah.
ours have always been in some type of care, daycare, preschool, etc. But there's
Complete
somehow
strangers.
complete
Yeah,
strangers.
right.
Do you have a
5
pulse?
minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you take care of the children? But there is something about having everyone in actual school, like kindergarten on. There's just something that feels a little bit like,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I will tell you,
Until
our
it gets
last
sick.
kid is just
I-
going to college,
Today.
and then
Yeah.
it's even more of a sense of, wow.
I bet. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of free time, but also a sense of, gosh, I said
Yeah.
just something.
That's when the salsa music comes on.
There you
That's
go.
right.
And the
That's
dance
right.
shit come out. Right.
And the thing that you didn't mention was that, what was it, the second time you ran, you got elected to be
The chair.
chair of the county commission.
Okay, which is even more. Yeah.
2006.
Wow.
Yeah, so you were the chair for 3 terms?
Yes.
Yeah.
And during that whole time, are you guys having conversations with sidebar, and are you with other people, kind of going?
Yeah, because you're probably starting to get, people are starting to say, a progressive career, we're maybe seeing you beyond this, next steps. What does that look like again?
And what's going on
inside
with
the
your
house?
career during
Right.
all this too? Like how
What I would figure out how to do is to kind of run the household and have the job and have the kids, and you usually get home at like 9 or 10 at night.
Oh,
And that's,
wow.
That's
Yeah.
still the case.
Although oddly enough, that works out in a strange way, even now, because she's getting home about the same time we have dinner at that hour of the night.
Yeah, we eat late.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
We eat
Yeah.
very
so are
late.
we on the way home? Are we stopping at Chili's just to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I just
love-
go straight from dinner right to work.
I'm picturing Manley, by the way, looking at his Outlook calendar and like, that's what he said. Yes, it's like through the water. Come on.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry. I
I'm
didn't even
That's so
catch
embarrassing
that.
to say on a podcast. I'm
No,
sorry.
listen, you're dedicated. You're earning points here. Sorry, I didn't even realize that.
His clients are demanding.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and it's that time of
Circle.
year. In finance, the fourth quarter is the busiest time by far.
Okay.
Because everybody's
Yeah.
trying to get everything done.
Trying to get the loans on the books for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So in terms of politics, I'd always thought 4 terms is plenty of time on the county commission, and
because the term is
2 years,
2 years each. Wow.
but 8 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And so I was, I announced that I was gonna that at the end of the 8th year I was gonna, not run again. And at that time, actually about a month later, Sue Myrick announced that she was not running again for Congress.
Mm.
And that is a district that has been held by a Republican, but a lot of people thought that a Democrat could take it. And there were a lot of, and you always want to run somebody in every district anyway, just to have the choice and the competition, and
Sure.
you never know what's going to happen, what external factors can contribute, even based on what the Democrats and Republicans look like in that district. So I had a lot of people come to me, and they knew I wasn't running again for the county. I said, "Will you think about running against, or it's an open seat now. You think about running for that Sue Myrick seat." And we did have a big conversation.
This was where we first
This was
really
a
had
huge
to face,
conversation.
because I could not
Kids
move to
are
DC.
middle school at this point? Elementary?
Good question.
It was 2012.
Yeah, so
Okay.
our daughter would have been,
So our son was
Middle
12
school.
and our daughter was 15.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, she was like,
So commitments are starting to ramp up with them.
right. Plus,
Got it.
plus, my job really wouldn't work as well in DC.
Remotely or okay.
So basically, we were thinking that if she won, I'd stay here. She'd go up there, actually stay with my brother's in-laws. He lives in DC, and so do his in-laws.
Okay.
So you'd stay up there during the week with them and come down on the weekends.
Or maybe get my own place eventually, but
Maybe, yeah.
yeah.
Wow, those are big conversations to have.
They were huge.
Right.
Yeah. Do you,
And-
when your
and we
kids
asked
are that
Leslie,
age?
yeah.
Oh yes, Leslie. Right.
Leslie, do you have
She-
more
yeah.
hours, Leslie? And she's
Oh,
like,
yeah, she did.
That's right.
Yeah.
When your kids are that age, do you include them in that conversation? Did you talk with them about that at all?
We did.
Yeah. How'd that go?
We did. They were like, "Can we come and visit you in DC?" And
Yeah, I suspect, I don't remember exactly, but I suspect our daughter was much more supportive than our son.
Yeah.
He has always wanted to have you closer to him.
Okay.
He was always the one who cried when I left the house in the
Yeah.
morning
Yeah.
and clung to me and didn't want me to go.
Mhm.
And when we go, even if we went into, because once you're an elected official in Charlotte, and a local official, everybody knows you, and they all want to talk to you, and they want to talk about the pothole or the school or
Yep.
something they've got. And so we walked into a restaurant or to the grocery store, or whatever. He would like put his hands on both sides of my eyes and say, "Don't look at me, mommy. Just do this, and we gotta get out of here."
Wow. No,
That's
love it.
Yeah,
It's okay, mommy. You're not talking. Anyway, we gotta get this
Yeah.
bug. Get out
I
of
gotta
here.
tell you about my lunch today at school.
right.
right.
Exactly, exactly.
That's funny. That's interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
He was very jealous of mommy.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's down in Georgia.
Yeah,
right?
he's
That's right,
at
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I talked to him today already.
And
He's
he's
still
doing
doing
great.
around the phone, like FaceTiming. You
Yeah,
Oh, now
exactly.
it's like now is it you like
It's
please
like,
call
yeah.
me, please can we talk?
Is he gonna listen to this?
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
We've got several outlets. This is good.
No way is he
No.
gonna learn.
No,
I think you're safe.
I'm just
I'd love
watching
to
this
see
live.
that.
Like, oh, I didn't do that. Come on.
He's probably dancing at a fraternity house right now. Let's be honest.
No, so he's very upset about a test that he just took.
Oh.
Oh,
So he wanted to get a little reassurance.
What year is he?
He's a freshman.
He has
I
his.
said, look,
Yeah.
freshman year, you're still figuring out like how to get to class and where the classes are and how to time it and your homework. I said, no, first year of freshman, it's okay.
wait a
You can
minute.
make a B.
Where were you when I was a freshman?
Yeah. Seriously.
My parents were like, I don't care if Carolina Theater is in a movie theater with seats that sling all the way back and it's 8 a.m. You shouldn't fall asleep in that. I'm like, I had no chance in that class. Econ 10 with
Econ 10.
movie theater seats that did
Do you guys
this.
remember that? Did they have Econ 10 in
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How are you supposed to stay awake for that?
In fact,
Yeah.
I think I took
Come
10
on.
and 11, macro and micro.
In both the
Oh,
Carolina Theater?
gosh,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I took Econ 10 like 4 times. in
7
that theater.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
Lost.
All right.
I lost that election and
That was against Robert Pittenger.
Yep.
Ah.
Who
yeah.
won?
Yeah.
Has been there ever since. And
Yeah.
been investigated by the FBI and all that.
Oh. And so, all right, and then
But-
did you take a time at that point and go, you know what then? Because I was thinking the end of the 8 years was a long 8 years. I'm done.
I took a breather.
You did.
And I did, I really did think it's time to go back into education or into a nonprofit. And Then we had what happened with the Charlotte mayor when Patrick Hannon got arrested.
Yeah.
Right.
And they had an interim. And again, I had a lot of people say, you should really think about running
Mm-hmm.
because people know you, they trust you, and we need that voice with the city. And again, we had the big conversation because
Really, we're doing this
Man,
again?
it's like,
Okay,
I know.
there we
There we go.
And once again, I must say, looking back on it, there was a lot of information I didn't know at the time.
That's what you come. I mean, that's the thing, right? You never. I mean, who could have seen any of that coming?
No, it's been the most challenging mayoral term ever for
Yeah.
Charlotte. And I've had numerous people, I mean, Harvey Gann has told me that, Richard Benrist, I mean, all the former mayors who I've talked to from time to time have said this is, no one has had to confront what you've had to confront.
Mhm.
Protesters in front of your house.
Right,
And-
4 times we've had protesters.
4 times, really.
Yeah.
So again, just for listeners or viewers who aren't as familiar, in the past couple of years during your term, we've had the HB2 controversy, which took it to a national level. We've had the Keith Lamont Scott shooting and protests that ensued after that. Recently, I mean, the past 2 weeks, I guess, is just when the primaries were, which was a surprise, a disappointment. We haven't addressed it yet here necessarily, but I'd like to. We don't have to delve too much into the politics. That's not exactly what this is, but honestly, we're curious, and kind of what we like to do on the podcast is, how does that play out for you two? Like it's one thing to be in front of your team and your people. It's another thing when you get to go home and finally close the door and it's just you two and you can go, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah, because I'm sure that's what you did.
Yeah, it was surprising, but in looking at, and again, I let other people talk about the strategy and what's happening nationally as well as locally, and it's very interesting if you look at some national trends and things because these shootings have happened around the country, and there's a lot of tension right now with our new president, who is like helping divide people even more by setting people against each other and having these hate speech things. So, looking at a lot of that, things kind of made more sense. Low turnout, just things are so unpredictable. Low turnout.
We were at 8% here, right?
Less than 8%. So a lot of things contributed, but in terms of, and I don't like dissecting it because
Sure.
I feel like there's some great things we've done in the last 2 years. And I want to focus on, I'm kind of a positive person.
Yeah.
And I like to focus on positive things that we have done and things that we have advanced. And, the whole conversation on equality is so much further than it was 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it plays out at home, because our son was already in college at that point, but, had been around during the campaign. And of course, our daughter worked a lot on the first campaign for mayor. She was,
cool.
Yeah, she really got into it.
Was she what,
totally
a senior,
good.
I guess, when you were in? Or
Yes,
yeah.
she was heading off to college, but she did the whole summer. Like, she was really like one of our workers. She was
Yeah.
the field director, and she was great at getting volunteers and just really took leadership. So, that they both were following very closely, both with their absentee ballots, of course.
Of course.
All you parents of students out there are going to get their
Yes.
absentee ballots so they can participate
Yeah.
Right.
and get in the habit of voting, because
Totally.
that's the problem. People don't vote; they don't get in the habit.
Yes.
They don't start out realizing how important it is. People died for that.
Yeah.
So we talk about that a lot. But in terms of, the kids were, of course, calling and family calling, saying, we're so sorry. And it's when it's a surprise, it's hard. The first couple of days are hard.
Yeah, of course.
It's hard. You have to rethink kind of everything. And I have projects underway that I had thought about, doing this in 6 months and this in 10, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, who am I going to get to help shepherd this through? How is this going to continue to happen? How can I set this up to continue to go through? What other things can I do in the community to help guide that? And you have to start rethinking quite a bit. And we had a lot of conversations.
The ink's not even dry, so
We're still in the midst of it,
Right.
honestly. But I think that from the home front standpoint, a lot of it is kind of, it's like dealing with someone who's lost their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, just providing support, saying, we love you, you've done a great job, and whatever comes next, we're going to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And, so a lot of it is being just, the family at home supporting somebody who's out of work.
Which is hard as a spouse, I'm sure, and I mean, it's kind of like you can relate as a parent. You hear a lot of parents of of seriously ill children saying, you know, you wish you could take their place. It's like as a spouse, you when you see your spouse hurting or something that's upsetting, you just want to be like, these people are crazy. They don't know what they're doing. And I wish this bad thing was happening to me because it's so much harder to watch someone.
No, you're right. You're right about
you care
that.
so much about, you know.
Right about that. And the other thing that's hard as a spouse of someone in politics. I mean, as you know, there's just a lot of nasty things that are said about people, both in campaigns and in social media, and you read that and you see it.
Yeah.
And
they say never read the comments, right? But how can you not?
Right.
To some extent, get all that in. Too.
And that's really hard because as a spouse, you really can't respond to it. You know, you can't say anything, and so you just kind of
want to.
Yeah, you kind of have to sit on your hands.
Yeah.
But luckily, he's not on Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, that is.
Oh,
that's
my gosh.
good.
Well, then you're good.
That's
shape.
good.
Very lucky.
We were at we kind of church hop a little bit, but we were at Elevation the other day. Stephen Furtick was speaking, and he was talking about I forget what he was addressing specifically, but he said something about somebody on Facebook said something about whatever, and he goes, and y'all should have seen the response that I wrote up. And he's like, I took that person down. And he goes, and I wrote it and I reread it and I put it right in the trash.
Yeah.
But I was like, I said, he goes, you know, I read it and I was like, oh, y'all don't want to take me on. Like, you can take me on the athletic court. You can take me on what he goes, but I do words. I can do this. I can tell. And he was like, but I just don't go there. I can't. And it's true. It's like you know, and especially so much easier to not do it when it's you to some extent, because you can just go there. But when you want to defend, you know, your spouse or your child or whatever it is, you're smart probably to not be on social media because it's just a hard space to maintain.
Right. Yeah, I had to, even when our daughter was still in Charlotte before she went to college, I had to tell her, just don't read the comments, because even when I was a county commissioner, people just
Those
get
potholes.
nasty.
Yeah, people get nasty over them.
They really, and they don't think about how they're hurting a family or
A
friends
human.
or supporters or a human. It's just a face. It's just a symbol.
Yep.
And that's one of the things, you know, people ask me, how do you have such a hard skin? How do you know? And what you realize is that you're a symbol. So some people, I'm a Democrat with the big D. Some people, I'm a liberal. Some people, I'm uppity woman. You know, whatever somebody wants. Sometimes I'm bureaucracy to some people. I'm the city bureaucracy that's, you know,
Right?
Now they do.
That's why we do this. That's honestly because we
go,
go, regardless of who the person is and what you think of them in politics, on the football field, on the whatever, they're people. Like, if you get to know just people as people, you'll probably find a lot more common ground than you think.
And we find a lot about people, find out a lot when we play a game here at the end, but we got a couple more questions. So I know, again, you're still kind of unpacking things and seeing, but as you do look forward, I know you're going back to work. That's insane. I love it.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you cooking?
Probably pasta.
Gosh, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Right. But as you do look forward, you know, I don't know if you got the bug, if you still have the passion, or it's like, you know what, I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of a break. I mean, do you guys get to think at all about maybe what the next 12, 24 months
Have you gone there
look like?
yet? Yeah, what's next?
Well, I've got 2 more months trying to finish projects and get things set up to keep going and all that. So I'm really focusing on, you know, October, November. You know, all the things. We have the National League of Cities coming here, middle of November. That's like 4,000 people from all over the country are coming to see Charlotte. Yeah, and talking about best practices and what cities do and how cities excel. And so we've got a lot.
What a cool thing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
It's a great convention. So there's a lot that's going to go on between now and December the 4th, which is my last day. And, you know, speeches to write and people to, I mean, I'm speaking to a Cub Scout crew. All that stuff is still on my calendar.
Sure.
All that stuff. So after that, you know, I've heard from a lot of people that you just take a couple months off and, like, don't do politics and just sit back and think about, like, who you are and where you're going, and then start making decisions and thinking. And I have a lot of energy. There's a lot of things I care about. There are a lot of things I could do. And I'm sure that people will be, again, telling me, try this and do this. And we just have to talk about it as a family. It's always been a family decision. And talk to friends, you know, both in and without the political sphere. And we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Cool. And just curious, I know that podcasts and water and a couple beers locally is not your ideal date night. I'm just going to assume that. What does an ideal date night look like for you guys?
Yeah, what do you guys
have a favorite restaurant, or That's a question we like to ask our guests.
Or just
No,
a couple
that's good.
spots around town that you like, yeah.
That's good. Well, we'll come to around town, but our ideal date, I think, is to go out in the mountains and go hiking.
Oh, cool.
So-
Like locally, like Crowders, or
We'll do
local
Crowders, if we can go, if we have time to go farther, we'll go farther. We'll go up to Grandfather, we'll go to Limble Gorge, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Brevard. Yeah, if we only have 4 hours, we'll go out to Crowders.
Yeah.
And hike up and down and come back. And so I think that would be our ideal thing. Now, apart from that, as you might imagine, we'd love to go to hear music.
Oh,
of any
yeah.
kind.
I was gonna say.
Any kind, really?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we like.
Bluegrass.
Um,
World
Do
Fest.
you have a musical background too, or do you just enjoy it?
So I'm the roadie. I'm the one that like carries the equipment.
Yeah.
I'm a really good listener, and
That is awesome.
our kids both sing.
Perfect.
They both have
Oh,
great
cool.
voices. He has a great voice. I tried 3 different instruments in
What happened?
middle school. I just don't have a gift.
Yep.
But
That was like
But someone's gotta enjoy it, right?
Paige could sing, and I remember we were the church we went to in New York. It had a gospel choir and like a traditional choir.
Yeah.
And you're like, babe, your voice is great. You should go sing. And I would sing like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, this is not going well. Like I'm not a great singer. Like you're doing fine. It's one of those where the tenors are next to me like, you're fine, buddy. Maybe find another lane.
But if you can enjoy it together too, you can go
Right.
watch anything, right?
I
So
love
are there
listening to
spots
all his
around?
concerts. I
Oh
hear
yeah.
all
Do you
his
God?
concerts.
Do you sing with your kids?
Yeah.
Is that the coolest thing in the world to watch them sing together? Oh, that must be the
Yeah, in
best.
fact, during your congressional campaign, you had a bunch of musicians who were performing out at,
Cy Khan
Yeah.
and Tom Chapin.
yeah, a bunch of people were performing over at the Music Factory, and our daughter's name is Montana. She and I got up, and I accompanied her, and she sang "Wherever You Go, I Will Follow You,"
Oh.
the Carole King song.
Yes. Oh my.
I want to see you at some point live
All right.
singing, or some tape of your heyday.
Thanks.
I want the old tapes, the old like Dominican Republic and.
I want to go to a Clef's
Oh.
reunion and watch you in action with all the.
Yeah.
Well, what
Alright.
about
I know.
Barview? Barview. I mean, that's where you want to do some of that stuff too.
Yeah, we do that too.
Where's that?
So that's Charlotte Squawks, right? The parody show that's done over at the Blumenthal.
Okay.
Makes fun of politics and stuff.
Oh,
We need to
great.
go check
You
that out.
have been to Charlotte
No.
Squawks?
No, we haven't.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not
Okay,
in
alright.
it, but one of my legal partners writes it. Time to time that is basically makes fun of the legal profession. It's kind of like the shows you had in college or law school.
Yeah.
You rewrite lyrics and songs.
Oh,
you
I
have
love
different skits, and it just
And so they have
Nice
parodies
like they
and
had
stuff.
a Bill and Hillary song where instead of Mac the Knife, it was Back the Wife.
right.
Back the Wife.
Love it,
So,
yeah.
Right. Love it. All right, so tell them this is how we end all of our episodes. Like,
Uh-oh.
usually we get
Yes.
everybody we all like a love fest, and then we just break it right in half.
All
And then
right.
we take them down.
Yeah.
We're a team. We play girls versus boys.
Explain,
right?
catchphrase.
So
Explain.
this is. And we break up the couples. So we go, boys are a team, girls are a team. And what you do is we pick the topic here. We'll do the category just random. And first team to 3 wins.
All right. You got to tell me the
I
rules.
say
I
the
don't
rules
know.
exactly. The
All
rules.
you do-
Don't say the word that's on there. So
Yeah.
you get it's like taboo. You
Oh,
just
I
say
see.
words to describe that, and I'm guessing for you, and you guess what I'm saying, and we just go pass it around in a circle, and all you're doing is pressing the big button. All right.
The big blue. Don't press
So
the one on the top.
We're gonna do everything. Ready?
So you
Hit
get
it.
So we're just saying words that are word, not a phrase.
Yeah, it can be a phrase. It can be a phrase. It can be a
Yeah,
phrase. Yeah,
and the
it's kinda-
button thing, how does that work?
The big button.
The big button. So you just whenever your person guesses the word, you press the button and pass it to the person
Oh, I
next
get
to you.
it.
And
But
this
if
is where the podcast goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Go-
Yeah.
Here we go.
okay, ready? Hold on. Man, they say when.
When?
Ooh, food. That's our
Ooh.
category.
Food
Ready?
is the category. Here we go.
Are you ready, Jennifer?
I'm ready.
3, 2. Okay, this is like then you're gonna cook this when you get home, and it's a really
Pasta.
skinny version of it. They fly in the air. When you go to heaven, you see them.
Butterfly pasta.
Nope. You put that.
Angel hair.
Yep. Say it all together.
Angel hair pasta.
Yeah.
Butterflies in heaven. All right.
Pasta.
These are you dip them in cocktail sauce, seafood,
Shrimp?
but the really big ones.
Lobster.
This is like a type of loan, like a home loan. like if somebody's like really
Oh, jumbo
large.
shrimp.
Yes. Hit the next button at the bottom when you're done.
So this is when somebody loses and they really was complaining and they
Poor loser, sore loser.
and it's also a fruit. It's also a fruit because it's a fruit.
Sour apple.
Yeah, but if you're upset about something, it's like I'm just complaining about something because I'm just all
Oh!
It's a little round thing.
What was it?
Sour grapes.
So,
Oh, dang it. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay,
1
point,
boys. All right.
1 point, boys.
So now,
This is
since
game
you're
point.
starting it, Manley, you hit start at the top.
And then you
Okay.
hit next and you're done. Sorry, that was my bad.
Okay, this is British food.
Crumpets.
Wellington.
Beef Wellington steak. Beef.
Certain type of Wellington. The way it's cooked.
Ooh.
You can hit next if you think he's not going to get
Yeah,
it.
you pass it if you.
Okay.
No offense, Jake.
Do I do the next one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Candy
A
bags.
particular piece.
Oh, candy corn.
Short word. You go to a place to drink.
Bar. Oh, Kit Kat bar. Candy bar.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, oh, you eat these. They're crunchy, they're cucumbers,
Peanuts.
but they're like spicy cucumbers.
Pickles.
Yes.
Cheese.
Oh, yes, girls, 1 to 1.
We got one
So we
to
got
one.
one. We're tied.
My
Okay.
fault. I struggled with it. What was the British food?
Roast beef.
Oh.
That's hard.
can you say something that rhymes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
for the
if this
purposes
was
of
like at
this.
our house for game night, we would totally mix that and we would be very strict with the rules. For here, yes.
Which?
I know.
All right, here we go.
We,
I love
by
it.
the way, have you translated
follow the
between
rules.
Jennifer and Mayor Roberts?
I have. I don't really like.
Jennifer, is that okay? Mayor Roberts? That's
Yeah.
fine.
Jennifer, Robert. Okay, here we
That's
go.
fine.
And so angel hair.
Pasta.
And what do you put on it that's red?
Sauce.
And
Tomato
what,
sauce.
And what type of
Marinara.
angel hair is a type of?
Spaghetti
Yes.
wing.
So that word. The
You
first
think you're good if he said
Yeah.
it both, yeah.
Here we go. Spaghetti sauce.
Okay. Oh, this is a sweet thing that comes out of the toaster. And it comes
Strudel.
up. It comes up, and it's a little
French
bit.
toast.
It's
Toast.
it's breakfast food, but it's really sweet, and kids love them.
Strudel.
And
Bagels.
2 words. It's a
Chocolate.
long thing.
Hershey's
It's 2
chocolate
words.
kisses.
2 words. Long thing.
Chocolate bar.
Yay!
Oh, come on.
Okay. This is a baked item, but you might also call a
Chips.
friend of yours, a young woman.
Oh,
Small. Think of what.
Petite. Little Debbie.
Think of what you
Little
serve.
Debbie.
What do you serve at a wedding?
a cake.
What's a little
Little cake.
We just won, but what was it?
cupcake?
Oh, man. That was
That always
great.
makes me sweat at the end.
I
always
blew it.
feel a
I
little-
feel like episode 10 we're tied.
I
feel like
so.
it is like 5 to
It's
5.
like 5 to 5, girls v boys.
Oh my
Who
gosh.
was in the last one?
Remember we had to play like 10 rounds in a
We
row.
did.
You
We
guys
played
played.
with, it was Jonathan Stewart and his fiancee Natalie last time, and like anytime we have athletes on, they're a little competitive. So it's always like, do over.
My favorite part.
How come you don't know what a Pop-Tart is?
Oh, Pop Tarts! God, I'm an idiot. You thought it was French toast. You
No,
were
I
wrong.
knew it was Pop-Tarts.
You guys.
I think the big trouble is I was not giving very good clues.
What I love is each time you were like, here.
Yeah, I should not like
That's what I love.
Conducting.
So
Very
much
good. You really
for
enjoyed
coming
this.
on.
Thank you.
I know,
We
thank
really
you.
enjoyed it.
Great to hear the origin story and that you are both far more interesting than Paige and I together.
No,
I know, not at all.
Unbelievable.
Not
We're
at
like the
all.
boring version of you. So I want
really
that story.
We want to go to a baseball game together. Wow.
Yeah.
I know,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Done. Gio, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
both. This was a
Thank
blast.
you.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, good night.
Oh, now the sweaty ears come out.
So.